everyone, and welcome back to the LTH product briefing. I'm here today with Greg Mostyn, the CEO and founder of Wexler. Welcome, Greg.
Hey there, how's it going?
I'm well, thank you. I'm looking forward to being able to showcase Wexler because I think it's such a clever solution. Can you tell everyone when the company was founded, first of all, or the product was initially launched?
The company was initially founded in early 2023 and released to the market last April. We spent a good year in deep product development because, as I will come to explain, we're really trying to go deep into these specific disputes workflows rather than creating a sort of broad but potentially shallower product. It's required an extensive amount of customer development and insight, which we're now really happy with.
And tell us a little bit more about that. So, what does Wexler do? Where is it focused? Because it's a little different than some of the very
Yeah.
broad solutions we're seeing in the market at the moment.
Yeah, if I could say, remember one thing about Wexler, it would be this. We are a scalpel, not a Swiss Army knife. So we are laser focused on disputes and we're laser focused on establishing the facts in litigation and dispute resolution. So the biggest problem that every litigator deals with tends to be, how can I basically establish what's taking place in this case, and how can I build the most compelling version of the facts? And Wexler helps you do just that. We trawl through thousands, tens of thousands, or even 100,000 of documents, either right at the beginning of the case in that early case assessment, post discovery for second level review, right the way up to trial prep, allow you to establish just what's taken place, which facts are most relevant, where there are inconsistencies or contradictions, ask and answer questions, draft the outlines of documents, and really build your case so that you can stand up in court or you can get on a call with your client and back to front just what's going on, and you can find that smoking gun, that killer argument that's going to win you the case. So that's really what we're focused on.
Amazing. Thank you. And as you're talking, Greg, I can completely see that you clearly, I know you grew up surrounded by lawyers. It sounds you probably had a lot of dinner table conversations where you recognized this was a big issue for litigators.
For sure. So yeah, sorry, of course. As you mentioned, I'm from a legal family, so my father was a high court judge, and he's instilled his passionate beliefs about law reform, but also about how important creating a compelling version of the facts is in any case.
Why don't we take a look at the product? I'd love for you to be able to show it to everyone.
Great. So I'm going to show you an existing case. It's using some documents from the infected blood inquiry, which actually was a global scandal, not just in the UK, although it was litigated extensively in the UK, about contaminated blood products leading to people contracting AIDS amongst various other terrible illnesses. And you at this point would have already uploaded a set of documents. So I think in this, there's about 3,000 pages of data, a small upload, but actually quite common for the kind of workflows that our users tend to upload. So they've got potentially the relevant documents, the key documents. They know that they need to understand what's inside them and build their strategy from those docs. They will upload to Wexler. They give a quick overview of what the issues are. So this is really important. You give it a steer as you would a human to say, this is what the client has said. This is what we're looking for in the documents. And Wexler will then process in any different file type you want, native files, an outcome, something like this. So what you've got is you've got an executive summary of the most important facts which have been synthesized in the case. So you can see the inquiry reveals a web of decision-making responsibility in the blood supply system. You've got key themes. This is important. Wexler's proactive. You haven't had to prompt it to do this. You haven't had to ask it to do this. It's come up with the key themes based on those issues which you initially put in. But it's not like you had to say, please craft me all these different themes. It's come up with that itself, as well as these questions. This whole page is your launch pad for analysis. A partner, a senior associate may just look at this to get a quick download of the case without having to trawl through endless email threads. And it just helps you to situate yourself with what's going on. And it analyzes a corpus of documents rather than just one document. That's really important. Any questions on that?
No, this looks very clear the way that it uploads and provides you immediately with insights.
Exactly. So this would be a quick launch pad, as I like to say, an overview of what's going on. And you've got some stats, you've got some action points. So you might be asking, what's the workflow here? And the workflow is absolutely vital. Here you have every single fact that has been extracted from the documents and put into this table. So this is an irrelevant fact to the meat of the case because it's clearly background information. It's about the Pope injecting blood from 3 boys in 1490, but nonetheless, it's from background information and you can see exactly where these have come from. within the original document. So this is line by line, the date of the fact, not the date of the document, not the date of the metadata, the actual date of the event, the significance of the event. So this is the whether or not the event is important to the case based on those issues that you put in at the beginning and why, essentially. And then you can see exactly back to the original document where it's come from, down to the sentence level, which is really important. So the workflow is basically you go through and you slice and dice this data in different ways to create a chronology, which is a snapshot of the facts as you understand them. I'm going to create a chronology now. So there is a snapshot of facts, which you've selected. It's obviously only 12 facts, so it's far shorter than it would be in practice. But you've got a subset of facts which have been selected, and this might be Nikki's chronology, it might be Greg's chronology, or it might be based on different themes, it might be based on different deponents or witnesses. It helps you understand and build up that snapshot, that work product which everyone can refer to, so that we're all singing from the same hymn sheet when things get complex. And then this is not an AI. Oh, sorry, yeah.
Sorry, Greg. So in the previous screen, you're able to
Yeah.
create essentially what you consider to be the relevant documents to pull into the chronology, right? So you would work through the facts one by one and then generate the chronology accordingly.
A few different ways. So yes, you could read the facts one by one. Of course, billing by the hour, you may want to go through one by one. And actually, quite some of our customers do like to do that because it helps them to understand what's going on. Obviously, if there's 100,000 facts, that's not going to be possible. So you can search using the search bar, which does a sort of fuzzy we call it fuzzy search. So it's keyword plus. It's basically keyword and things slightly related to the keyword without being full semantic. You can then filter by just the relevant documents. You can filter by specific documents, which are really important, or you can filter by what we call the key facts, which are the most important facts related to those issues. So the workflow would be you'd go through and you'd select these different, you'd slice and dice the data in different ways to get to this final output. But I think this is a really important USP for Wexler. It's that it doesn't just type in what you want to see, make me a chronology from these documents.
Right.
It's first giving you this first pass, which you can go through and, okay, that's really interesting. I wasn't thinking about that. Actually, I think that should be classified as yes, relevant. And then actually this one also, I think, should be classified as relevant. And you work through and you manipulate the data, not only to get to the chronology, but actually to help you understand what's going on.
That's what I like about this. I think it's different from some of the other chronology tools where you upload documents, it creates an automated chronology, but it doesn't give you that sense of control and the ability to really, in a nuanced way, assess what is relevant, what should be added to the chronology. And I assume people could actually then generate different chronologies for different aspects of the case. Is that
absolutely? So that's something we'll see. It's not just the chronology. This is a way of the best way to view facts is in their chronological significance, in their chronological context. Therefore, we can make them for different elements of the case. Maybe you start with 10 documents, make a chronology from that. You can then upload the contemporaneous evidence. So you upload 10 depositions, make a chronology of what people are saying. Then you add the contemporaneous evidence, and then you compare and contrast, and you can see over time how this develops. And so I've got 20 clear. That wouldn't be an uncommon amount to make from this. And it may just be that one chronology goes to be the chronology for the trial. It's a really important way for everyone to collaborate. And then you've got, this is not an AI feature, but nonetheless important, just a verification step. We completely believe that the whole workflow needs to be built around human verification of AI outputs. And so that is why we have that step. Everything's sourced and cited, but also you can change everything. You can change the facts themselves if you think that they should be written in a different way or they're missing nuance or however you want to frame it. That's absolutely important. Wex is meant to be a first pass, which you collaborate with to get to the final output. A couple of other things. You've got the document viewer, which is just a way to view the documents in situ with all the facts on the side. This is actually something our customers love. It's like they can just see the facts in line, whether they're relevant or not and why. And they can just read the document, just as if you have to read a really chunky expert report or a deposition or witness statement or whatever it is, you can use Wexler for that.
That's great.
And finally, the holy grail, which is what one of our customers called it the other day, which is inconsistencies. So clearly not just taking things at face value. You want to see if people are saying different things about the same topic or someone self-contradicting, or even better, if someone says something which evidence suggests is untrue or is incomplete, that can be done with this too. So you can see in his written statement, this person, Lord Simon Glenarth, asserts something, but there's a discrepancy found in the setup of the date. But actually, it's intelligent enough to not just say that's a clear inconsistency, because it says the difference could be due to referring to different things or inaccuracies in record keeping. But without further context, it's not possible to definitively confirm or deny the claim. I think that's also really important. AI has a tendency to just be like so confidently wrong about things without being self-aware enough to say, hang on a minute, I don't know for sure if that's the case. So that's something else we built into the system.
This really helps you with case strategy.
Yeah, fact checking, case
Yeah.
strategy, trying to find the unexploded bombs in the documents, which you can bring up at trial. That's really important. Yeah.
Yeah, you could use this as a tool for cross-examination, I imagine.
Yeah, in real time. That's something we've been exploring as well, eventually, in looking at someone's testimony and fact checking it live against the evidence. So that's how that all works. And then you've also got, if a fact appears in an inconsistency, it is also reflected in the fact table. So you know that you should check this with the context of the other fact. Finally, we've got Kim. This is from Kim. The reason we're called Wexler is from Better Call Saul, which is the Breaking Bad spin-off, with heavy legal elements to it. And Kim Wexler, who was always the best lawyer in it. That's where we got the name from, and that's the name of our assistant. There's 3 different tasks you can do. One is asking a question, and I want to just highlight something based on what you just said. So did anyone lie in their testimony? Again, it's looking at all the inconsistencies because it's plugged into that same rich data set. So you can use it for cross-examination exactly as you've just said. It's not just using a different model or using a different workflow. It's plugged into the same database which we're creating. The whole of Wexler is this kind of finely interlinked ecosystem where all the facts are mapped together and each part of the product is pulling that information in different ways.
It's so clever, Greg. Can I ask, how are your clients using this in tandem with e-discovery platform?
Yeah. So there's 3 things, I think. One is probably the biggest pain point, which comes up time and time again, is I've got a new case and a client says to me, can you review these documents and we'll discuss it on our call on Friday, and it's Wednesday evening. And you're like, I have no idea how to review them in time. And it's not going to be 100,000, but it might be 5,000. And actually a trainee or an associate is pulling their hair out trying to pull an all-nighter to understand what's going on. And in the end, they haven't even read the documents fully because they didn't have time to, because it's impossible. That's one of the use cases which is incredibly common and incredibly useful, getting that initial assessment of what's going on. Then there's obviously second level review post discovery. So you've done a sort of relevant search or maybe a hot document, so maybe a specific keyword search, and then you upload to Wexler. And we are looking at integrating with a number of different e-discovery platforms. And then finally, as you said, case strategy. You've got the documents. Maybe you've got your exhibits ahead of trial, and you use Wexler for cross-examination prep, witness prep, etc. I think we're tackling all the parts of litigation that aren't discovery, which actually is a lot.
No, it's very clever. I remember as a litigator walking into my office and finding a stack of files that was a new case that I had to read through and then give the partner an overview of what was the situation, often in record-breaking amounts of time. I can absolutely see how incredibly useful this would be. And I think those integrations with e-discovery systems will be super helpful as well. Thank you so much, Greg. Was there anything else you wanted to show us in the platform?
2 very quick other use cases. One is the draft flow. So it can create like longer term notes, advice notes, briefs, memos. They're not designed to be in the right format because these are basically meant to be working outlines that you would use to draft your final submissions. But they basically will do a search, analyze, and then give you an overview you can then through. And then the other piece, which is the tabular review, extract flow, we call it. So a really common one that comes up time and time again is extract criticisms of my clients. And you can see it's extracted all the criticisms of the various bodies, in this case, the NHS, in the case. So yeah, that's the overview.
Thank you so much, Greg. Really interesting and so helpful. And I find it refreshing in this ecosystem where I think there are so many platforms that have decided, let's just build out everything. It's very clever to be really focused and, as you say, really be that scalpel that is out good at doing the key things that it sets out to do. So for anyone wanting to know more about Wexler, we'll put a URL across the bottom of the screen. You can reach out to Greg and his team to learn a little bit more. But Greg, thank you so much for joining us and showing it to us.
Thanks very much.
Thanks everyone for watching, and we'll see you next time.